students, continuing with the green skills, and today we are with the second and the last session of the unit, that is problems and solutions related to sustainable development. Here we are going to discuss the challenges that are faced while we are going for the sustainable development. The very first challenge that we face is the population and the human resources. We know that the human resources are increasing day by day, the population is increasing day by day, and it has been estimated that by 2025 the world population will pass 8 billion marks. And with this large population, the degree of consumption of the resources per capita will also increase, and the status of the health will go down, the education level, the social conditions all have to be maintained. And this population growth is not going to be equal in all the continents of the world. Somewhere we will find a great rise, somewhere we will find a comparatively low rate. And then we will see that all the aspects of the health, education, social conditions, these will also not go all the same in all the continents. So that is going to be the another challenge while having the sustainable development, that how are we going to cope with this population, how are we going to satisfy all these needs of the ever growing population if we are going for the sustainable development. Second is the food safety. As we have discussed, the first point, that the population is ever increasing. Now, to that ever increasing population, the food security is to be provided. We have to produce more of the cereal, more of the meat, milk, and all the other food production articles. We have to improve the new methods of farming. We have to include new seed varieties. We have to use chemical fertilizers. We have to use pesticides. We have to go for the increased irrigation, because we have to produce more food. And if we are going to do all this, if we are going to use the new varieties, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, we are going to make use of more and more irrigation, then how can we think of the sustainable development? Definitely, when we are going to do all this, we are going to harm the environment, we are going to damage the environment. So it's a big challenge for the sustainable development, that keeping the food security for everyone, how to go for the sustainable development. Next challenge is the urbanization challenge. About 50% of the world's population live in the urban communities, and this population pressure is demanding the ever increased infrastructure and services. This population is demanding employment. Unemployment has become a serious problem. And when employment will be generated, wherever the employment will be generated, there housing also need to be developed, and the housing conditions also need to be proper. Environmentally, socially, all the health conditions are to be taken in care. So this is yet another challenge. If we are going for generating the employment, we are going for generating the housing for this ever increasing population, we have to be very careful about the sustainable development. Another challenge is the use of energy. By 2025, global energy consumption will be increased by 40% over 1980 figures. As the population will go on increasing, we will be in need of more and more energy resources. More fossil fuels will be required. More nuclear power will be required. More hydropower will be required. More biomass fuels are going to be required. Consumption of the renewable source of energies will also go to a hike. At present, we are able to use, we have the technology only for the utilization of 21% of the total energy that is consumed worldwide. So still we are more and more dependent on the non-renewable sources of energy. Our dependence is mostly on the fossil fuels, and these fossil fuels are in the limited quantity. which has further resulted in the four major problems. That is large scale climatic change due to the use of fossil fuel. Urban air pollution, this is also due to the fossil fuel. We have the depletion of resources. We have international conflicts. Not only this, because we know that the energy is going to be in demand more and more with the increased population, there will be time where we have to be in using nuclear power. This nuclear power is also very much essential for the modernization of the economies today, which is also creating the problem. Due to this nuclear power, there are going to be more health risk in the community. There could be some catastrophic accident. There are the risk of the catastrophic accidents. Security needs to be very strict. So we know that if this population keeps on growing like this, the demand for the energy will keep on increasing, and to satisfy that, again we have to take out that energy from our natural resources. And again, that is going to be a big challenge for sustainable development. How are we going to make the maximum utilization of the renewable sources of energies to satisfy the demand of ever increasing population and keep our non-renewable resources safe for the future generations? This is a big challenge for sustainable development. Then we have the industry. Industrialization is going on. This industrialization is shifting the people, shifting the population from the rural to the urban area. As industrialization take place, people shift from the rural to the urban areas, and when they shift to the urban areas, there's a danger to the environment of the urban areas. The air, the sea, the land, the river, that all is present over there, they all are under the threat. So this is again a big challenge for the sustainable development. Industrialization has become a big challenge for the sustainable development. These industries are providing the waste, they are creating the disposable hazardous waste. Industrial pollution is being created, and this all is done, and we can't stop it because we need the industries. Technological advancement is needed, without which we cannot compete with the other nations, without which there will always be an inequality between the nations. To create the equality, this industrialization has to go on. And if the industrialization go on, sustainable development is a difficult task to be done. Many of the species from our ecosystem are lost every day. There are the continents that contain biodiversities. They have different type of floras and faunas, but due to this modernization, this industrialization, this security for the food, for having the urbanization challenges, we have disturbed this ecosystem. And when this ecosystem is disturbed, the gene pool has a serious implications. The gene pool is being lost. And when the gene pool is lost, we do not have the hope of getting back the lost species. We do not have any hope of getting back the species that we have lost. So this is another challenge, how the species of the ecosystem will be maintained, how the gene pool of the ecosystem will be maintained. Then managing up of the commons, there are certain areas which are the concern of different countries, which are a joint concern, a joint responsibility of different nations. But there also the problems like overfishing, marine pollution, these all are increasing. The areas are being damaged due to the municipal sewage, due to industrialization, due to agriculture runoff. So, how are we going to manage them? So, we saw that there are number of challenges which will come on the way when we have to go for the sustainable development. Sustainable development always emphasize on the minimal use of the natural resource, but we know that ever increasing population is demanding a lot of things. It is demanding the food security, it is demanding the urbanization, it is demanding the industrialization, it is demanding the use of energy. So, therefore, these all have become a challenge for the sustainable development.